Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson, and I gotta say, I am really excited to be talking about some Red Raider basketball. First practice is Wednesday, today. Just talked with Kyler Edwards, junior guard, of course, and head coach Chris Beard on the for a press conference via Zoom, of course, virtually. And some really cool things came from that. So I want to give my main takeaways from what Coach Beard had to say and a couple of things from what Kyler had to say. First off, I think I want to get out of the way some of the things that everybody wants to know. The meat. And then I'll get to some of the size, the potatoes, and everything that I found interesting. But first off, in terms of Jamarius Burton, if he's going to redshirt or not, Coach Beard said they haven't made a decision on that. He was granted a waiver by the NCAA, allowing him to be immediately eligible. Mac McClung, who everybody wants to hear about, Coach Beard said they're still waiting from the NCAA. He said as far as he knows, Texas Tech has done everything on their side of things to make it happen. So they're just waiting to hear back from the NCAA on that. And then I asked Coach Beard about the assistant coach. There's an open spot. Of course, Coach Berg left for Georgia State, and so they haven't announced who's taking that third assistant coach position, but today's the first day. He said they do have 3 assistants on the court. He said they did not make an outside hire. So I'm wondering, is it Sean Sutton? That's the obvious choice, but I don't know that that's for sure who it's going to be. There's some other choices within the program, but Coach Beard did say that they have some good grad transfers, things like that, but they didn't make an outside hire in order to fill the third assistant spot, which there's a couple of options there, and I think Sean Sutton's at the top of that, but I don't know if that's what he wants Sutton, or not. So that's interesting. I think that is some news. Coach Beard said they're going to make a formal announcement on that. Another big part would be the out of conference schedule. Everybody wants to know what the out of conference schedule is going to be, and he didn't want to say exactly what the games were yet, but just that they were really close. There's a lot of moving parts, and that they're hoping within the next week or so to announce what their out of conference schedule is going to be. So a lot of this stuff, I think a lot of the delays, for example, you could say the Mac McClung delay, though I don't know for sure. The schedule delay for sure. I think the assistant coach announcement delay, in terms of, I think there might be, kind of a hiring freeze going on inside Texas Tech, with all the layoffs, people taking pay cuts, stuff like that. So that makes things very difficult, I believe, for the Red Raiders. So a lot of this is stemming from, this new era we find ourselves in the COVID era. And Coach Beard was quick to recognize that. He mentioned their story was the fact that they were, on the court in Kansas City getting ready, warming up to play Texas, and then they got pulled off the court, and they were hoping they were going to still have March Madness, but then they didn't. So they've been really itching to play. And he said, another difference in this COVID era is that, yes, now they get to start official practice. They get 20 hours of, in-person instruction a week with these guys instead of just an hour here, 40 minutes there. But even more so, just the fact that they get to, practice, period, inside and everything. He said with some of the restrictions due to Corona, that guys were having to do their conditioning outside, even play basketball outside hoops. They couldn't, play in a gym anywhere for, during certain parts of this COVID era. So it's been very challenging. And he said, though, that one of the things he learned about this team is that even though, there's 7 returners and then a bunch of new guys, that this is a very mentally strong team. That this is a team that is really impressed him. He said perhaps the most mentally strong team that he's coached, which I think that's saying a lot considering a lot of the success he's had with some of his teams. So I think also some other things that really stood out to me was the fact he said he considers this team still to be very talented, yes, like everybody has said, including myself, but that he has an opportunity to be one of the better defensive teams, which, okay, honestly, I expect this program to play good defense almost no matter what. I mean, if Coach Beard and Coach Adams are there, I expect this team to play defense one way or the other at a high level. But what really grabbed my attention was he said he thinks this might be the most talented offensive team he's ever had, that they have the potential. Now, they got to do it still, that word potential. But this team has the potential to be the best offensive team he's ever had. And that's saying something. Obviously, all the success they've had, back-to-back Elite Eight performances. I mean, even before early in his career, he had, a lot of success, both offensively and, of course, defensively. But he said, basically, this team can do everything. It can get up and down the court. They can be good in the half court, back to the basket, drive. They have perimeter shooting. He said, basically, they're very good at sharing the ball. He said these guys can play together, and the chemistry is developed. Then he feels like, that defensive excellence will continue, which is big part of the culture. But then this team offensively, it just has the potential to be very, very good. So he said the key to the season is going to be, something they tweeted out earlier this week, and that's staying uncomfortable. And what he means by that is like not getting too high, not getting too low, and being consistent on a daily basis. He said he feels like the most elite people in the world aren't the ones that, do something good every once in a while, but that are, that perform at a high level day in and day out and are very consistent. Which of course, there's a lot of truth to that. And he says the key to that, he feels like this team is staying uncomfortable. Don't be too comfortable if you're having a lot of success, but also, don't get too down as well. So, and he said one thing we'll never hear from him this year is that no matter who they play on the schedule, that they didn't have enough talent to win. He feels that they're that talented. So, coming from Coach Beard, who's been kind of a Nostradamus with his team in terms of predicting individual and team basketball success, that's saying a lot. This time last year, he was kind of saying, we have a lot of work to do, which he's saying that this year, but you could tell he was kind of, things weren't so smooth preseason. 2 years ago when they made that national championship run, the run to the title game, he was saying, Jarrett Culver was going to go down as perhaps the best player ever. I mean, and you could argue that easily, of course, him being Big 12 Player of the Year, and that they had a chance to make some runs, which of course they did with the Big 12 title and, run to the national championship game. So, in conclusion with what Coach Beard said, I think it was all good things. Sounds like guys are healthy. Got to get the McClung waiver in. Got to find some, just get that done. Hopefully NCAA gets that done. I know they've been furloughed as part of the COVID problem with them too, but hopefully someone there stamps whatever needs to be stamped, and that can get done, and everyone can move on. And then they keep on working on this team chemistry, which, of course, today's a big day with it being the first day of official practice. So they're going to have 30 practices, no scrimmages. That's part of the COVID, is they won't have any scrimmages. But then, late November, they'll start the season, and hopefully very soon we'll have answers on McClung, even Jamarius Burton, if he's going to redshirt or not. Announcement of who the other assistant coach is. And then, some finalization on the non-conference schedule to go with the Big 12 schedule. So some pretty exciting stuff. Kyler Edwards said some really good things about just team chemistry, that they really opened up on the recent retreat every year. The basketball team does a retreat kind of in nature, kind of like a camp out type deal, and they really get to know each other. He said they opened up and shared a lot of things that he didn't know about his teammates that really brought them closer together. So that's cool. Hey, I hope that works. Beard's, tact, what he does in terms of off-season chemistry building has proven very successful over the years. So, and this is a big part of it. So that sounds really good. Edwards, I asked Kyler about, that feeling about having to leave the court last year and not being able to finish, March Madness and all that. He said that left him hungry. They're ready to, to play the season. I asked him about the competition between the guys and the practices, kind of the, unofficial, but the workouts they've had. He says very competitive, of course, and they're ready to get after it. I thought what was really telling was like he was asked about just starters and all that, and he, having to fight for minutes. And he said basically everyone's okay with their role as long as they win. They just want to win. So as long as it's, their efforts are going towards them winning, then everyone's on board for their role. So that's huge. I mean, when you amass a roster like this with everybody, being like a hometown hero, basically, these guys have to be willing to accept their roles. And I think that's kind of what Beard said too. So if they do that, if they come together, it's going to be one heck of a season, assuming that, with Corona, we get to see all the games, they get to play all the games. One final thing, I almost forgot, Coach Beard said that he was non-committal about how it's going to be broken up in terms of students and regular fans in Lubbock or whatever. But he said that he is going to play an active role in deciding how it's going to be divvied up, because there's only going to be a fourth, of course. So, like around 4,000 fans in the arena, and, how that's going to be divvied up is going to be interesting. And, of course, Tech has such a great home court advantage with a packed house every night and everything. So they want to keep that going despite only being able to have 4,000 in the USA this year. So a lot of stuff. I'm really excited, if you can't tell, about basketball season, even if it's just we're talking about practice. Talk about practice here, but I'm still excited. Inching closer to the season. I can't wait to see this edition of Red Raider basketball. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.